stop scrolling for a second, because what I'm about to say will change the way you see yourself forever. Right now, there are people in your life, friends, family, coworkers, who are draining your energy, manipulating your thoughts, and trying to make you feel small without you even realizing it. They smile in your face while slowly stealing your confidence. And here's the brutal truth: most people let it happen every single day because they don't understand one simple rule: respect is not given, it is claimed. If you continue to allow toxic people to push you around, to question your worth, to dictate your emotions, you are silently giving them control over your life. Every compromise, every hesitation, every time you swallow your feelings, you teach the world that your dignity is negotiable. And that stops here. This video is not for the faint-hearted. It's for those ready to see themselves clearly, ready to claim power over their own life, and ready to finally hold toxic people accountable. Not by fighting them, not by arguing, but by standing unshakable in their own worth. What I'm about to share with you is not advice you've heard before. It's the kind of truth most people avoid because it demands action. It will teach you how to see toxic behavior for what it really is, how to protect your mind, how to set boundaries so strong they can't touch you, and how to respect yourself in ways that will shock everyone around you. By the end of this video, you will no longer feel small, manipulated, or powerless. You will see your value clearly, and once you do, the world will have no choice but to respect it. So watch carefully, because if you let these words sink in, your life will never be the same. The people who tried to control you will lose their power, and you will finally step into the strength you were born to own. Stay until the end, because this is the moment you stop giving anyone the right to disrespect you ever again. Let's start with a truth that most people are too afraid to admit: respect is not something you earn from others. It is something you claim for yourself. Far too many of us wander through life thinking that respect comes from being liked, from being agreeable, from bending ourselves into shapes that make other people comfortable. But here's the reality: toxic people feed on compliance. They sniff out insecurity and vulnerability like predators, and they will exploit it every single time. If you do not stand firm in your self-worth, if you do not define the lines that others are not allowed to cross, you are leaving the door open for them to walk all over you. That is not just a mistake. It's a betrayal of yourself. Think about it. How often do we apologize for things that aren't our fault? How often do we shrink our presence, our voice, our very existence to avoid conflict or to avoid being disliked? Toxic people count on that. They rely on the fact that most people have been conditioned to put others before themselves, to placate rather than confront, to excuse bad behavior instead of demanding accountability. The moment you stop excusing, the moment you stop shrinking, they lose control. The moment you speak with authority, they are confronted with something they cannot manipulate: your unwavering self-respect. Claiming respect is not about arrogance or aggression. It's about clarity. It's about knowing exactly where you stand and refusing to compromise your boundaries for someone else's comfort. When you respect yourself, it radiates through your posture, your voice, your decisions. You are no longer invisible. You are no longer a doormat. You are a force that toxic people cannot ignore. And that, paradoxically, terrifies them more than confrontation ever could. Here's the philosophical depth to consider: respect is intertwined with identity. If you allow someone to belittle you, to dismiss you, or to control your emotions, you are, in effect, surrendering pieces of your identity. You are saying, without words, that their perception of you matters more than your own understanding of who you are. But the moment you reclaim respect, you reclaim yourself. You reclaim your thoughts, your choices, your life. You create a kind of armor that cannot be pierced by manipulation, guilt, or intimidation. That armor does not make you cold, it makes you invincible in ways that the toxic will never comprehend. Psychologically, when you demand respect, you are teaching everyone around you how to treat you. Humans, whether consciously or unconsciously, respond to the standards you set. If you allow disrespect, they will continue to test boundaries. But when you make it clear, through words, through actions, through the way you refuse to settle, that you are not negotiable, you establish a new dynamic. You shift the balance of power. You remove the ability of others to dictate your mood, your energy, your confidence. And here's the truth most people never realize. This shift does not just protect you, it changes how the world sees you. Suddenly, what others once dismissed or overlooked becomes impossible to ignore. Now, consider the practical side. Respect is non-negotiable in every area of your life, at work, at home, in friendships, in romantic relationships. It is not situational, it is a principle. You cannot pick and choose when to respect yourself. You cannot say, well, I'll let this one person disrespect me, but not the next. Every instance of tolerated disrespect chips away at your self-worth, and it compounds. It accumulates into a life defined by compromise and resentment rather than empowerment. But when you consistently claim respect, you send a clear signal to the world: I am not available for mistreatment. I am not subject to manipulation. I am not optional. This is why self-respect is revolutionary. It is not passive. It is not polite. It is a declaration of sovereignty over your own life. It is the foundation of all other victories. Emotional, professional, and even spiritual. When you refuse to negotiate your dignity, you are sending a message to yourself and to the universe that you are worth more than excuses, more than manipulation, more than toxicity. And the astonishing result is that respect begins to attract respect. It creates a gravity around you, a force field that repels the energy that does not serve you. So, understand this clearly: respecting yourself in the face of toxic people is not optional. It is essential. It is the cornerstone of your freedom, your power, and your peace. You do not negotiate it. You do not apologize for it, and you do not make exceptions. The moment you internalize this, the moment you act on it, you will shock the world. And, more importantly, you will shock yourself with the strength you always had but never dared to claim. Remember this: the day you decide that your respect is non-negotiable is the day you reclaim your life. No excuses, no compromises, no apologies. Claim it, own it, protect it. Because once you do, nothing, no person, no circumstance, no toxic energy can ever take it from you. Let's be blunt about something most people never want to admit. When someone is toxic toward you, it is almost never about you. That may sound simple, even obvious, but the truth is deeper and far more liberating than most people realize. Toxic people are mirrors, but not the kind that show your reflection. They are mirrors that reflect their own insecurities, their own failures, their own fears. Every harsh word, every manipulative tactic, every attempt to belittle or control you is a projection of what they are wrestling with inside. When you finally understand this, everything changes. You stop internalizing their attacks, and you start reclaiming the power they have been trying to steal from you. Think about it for a moment. How often have you felt shaken, offended, or defeated by someone's words, only to replay them endlessly in your head? How often have you doubted yourself because someone else refused to see your value? That is exactly what toxic people want. They thrive on creating doubt, confusion, and chaos. They are predators in the social sense, looking for vulnerability, and most people give it to them without hesitation. But the moment you recognize that their behavior is a reflection of them, not a verdict on you, you remove their power. You become untouchable. Here's the psychological truth: toxic people are often battling emotions and conflicts that have nothing to do with you. Their anger, jealousy, manipulation, or criticism originates from unmet needs, insecurities, or unresolved trauma. It is raw, unfiltered, and messy, and it is entirely theirs to deal with. When they lash out at you, it says far more about the darkness they are carrying than about your worth or competence. And yet, most people treat it as if it is about them, as if every insult or slight is a personal indictment. That is the trap. That is the reason toxic people succeed in draining energy and self-esteem. Philosophically, this is where freedom begins. The moment you stop believing that someone else's toxicity defines you, you reclaim your autonomy. You begin to understand that no one has the authority to determine your value except you. Their words are data, not verdicts. Their behavior is information, not truth. Once you internalize this, interactions with toxic people become exercises in observation, not battlegrounds for your self-worth. You learn